the KZN annual operation plan, because there's no finality regarding the existence or non-existence of the political task team, which would then it would have an input regarding the KZN plan.
For live updates on this commission, visit ewn.co.za or watch live proceedings on our YouTube channel. The ad hoc committee investigating allegations of police corruption is meeting today to finalize its list of additional witnesses. The proposed list includes President Cyril Ramaphosa, disbarred advocate Malesela Tefo, as well as former police minister Nathi Nhleko. The committee was established to also probe allegations of corruption made by KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. The ad hoc committee members say some of the additional witnesses have been mentioned several times during the Madlanga Commission hearings taking place in Pretoria, and they could provide the parliamentary inquiry with relevant information. Babalondenze has more.
The updated witness list currently has 12 new names, who include the President, MPs Diane Kohler Barnard and Fadil Adams, and the former head of the Hawks, Advocate Godfrey Libia. Former National Police Commissioner Kehlas Thole is also on the list of additional witnesses to account for his role as the country's top cop from 2017 to 2022. Committee member Ian Cameron said this week that Sithole has a lot to answer, especially about former police crime intelligence boss Richard Mdluli, who was dismissed from the police and later found guilty of kidnapping and assault.
The specific reason is with regards to his role in approving the retirement of Richard Mdluli. Despite all the transgressions and discrepancies in previous years.
The committee expects to start its hearings on the 7th of October with Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi as its first witness. Babalondenze, Eyewitness News.
To this now, Western Cape Police Commissioner Thembisile Phathekile has issued a stern warning to gangs and organised crime groups that are causing havoc in the province. Police say a crime crackdown since last Thursday has resulted in the arrests of 92 suspects and the confiscation of 92 firearms and ammunition. This week alone, operations in Delft, Mfuleni, Muizenberg, Nyanga, Mitchell's Plain as well as Swellendam led to the recovery of 19 firearms. Lauren Isaac says more.
Handguns, homemade firearms, rifles and semi-automatic weapons are among the firearms confiscated, with the majority seized in the Cape Metropole, currently being plagued by relentless gang activity and gun-related killings. Provincial Commissioner Thembisile Phathekile says every illegal firearm removed is a life potentially saved, and police will not stop until every network that fuels bloodshed is dismantled. Police spokesperson Andre Trout.
Each firearm recovered represents not only a disruption to criminal operations, but also the prevention of potential bloodshed in vulnerable communities.
Just this morning, a 3-year-old boy was shot and wounded in Beacon Valley, Mitchell's Plain, while sleeping inside a Wendy house. Police say intensified presence on the ground will continue, with more high-impact operations already underway in a bid to stabilize gang-affected areas. Lauren Isaacs, Eyewitness News.
Former ANC President Thabo Mbeki is set to lead a political school class for ANC structures in KZN this weekend. It comes as the party works on its renewal and rebuilding program. The session will be Mbeki's first with the party's KZN teams since reconfiguration in February this year. Nhlanhla Mabaso takes a look.
The ANC in KwaZulu-Natal has roped in its former leader Thabo Mbeki to shed some light on what steps to take to regain the trust of people in the province. Having lost ground in the 2021 local government polls and the 2024 general election, the party still has a lot of work to do to reclaim lost support. It says Mbeki, as a seasoned ANC leader, will share some insight on strengthening structures of the party. Provincial spokesperson Fane Lesibisi.
This critical engagement will provide ANC members and leaders with clear guidance on what must be done to regain the trust of the people and to ensure that the ANC once again stand as a trusted force rooted in people's power.
This also comes at a time when ANC branches are preparing to elect new leadership at upcoming regional conferences set for November. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, Durban.
And China says it hopes the United States will provide open and fair treatment for social media platform TikTok and other companies investing in the country. This after US President Donald Trump finalized a deal with Chinese President Xi Jinping. This is to operate TikTok as a newly established joint venture in the United States. TikTok's parent company and its affiliates will own less than 20% of the US-based entity, but the joint venture will have a new board of directors operating under rules that will protect America's data as well as national security. Gold is trading at $3,752.71 an ounce. The rand is at 17.44 to the dollar, 23.30 to the pound, 20.37 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $69.42 a barrel.
Well, at this hour, if you're leaving Alexandra heading towards Midrand, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic. That's on the N3 northbound between Marlborough Drive and the Butklou interchange. Also leaving the Joburg CBD, traffic is a bit sluggish on the M2 westbound between the Crown interchange and Main Reef Road. If you're traveling from Brakpan to Benoni, traffic is a bit slow. This is on Rangeview Road between Dube and Tom Jones.
It's a fine Friday afternoon in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 23 and 25 degrees. Cape Town is also fine with a moderate southerly wind at a high of 23. The top story in EWN this hour. KZN Director for Public Prosecutions Elaine Harrison says uncertainty surrounding the disbandment of the Political Killings Task Team disrupted her planning for annual operations.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. You're with Mandy Wiener on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 and Cape Talk is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. Think bigger, think Nedbank Commercial Banking. On the show today, KZN's Director of Public Prosecutions on the stand at the Madlanga Commission. The Electricity Minister, Kgosientsho Ramokgopa, speaks to us about ending load reduction. The Hawks carry out seizure raids at City Power. Codeta has gone to court to challenge the closure of taxi routes. And it's Friday, so sports and good things too. All of that over the next hour.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Report on 702 and Cape Talk with me, Mandy Wiener. Good to be with you on this Friday. We will speak to the Electricity Minister. He had a press conference yesterday speaking about how the plan is to end load reduction within 12 months. Do you think that's possible? What are your thoughts on that? And then also really interesting developments around City Power. If you've been reading the News 24 reporting by Kaya Koko on City Power, the alleged corruption that's been taking place there, we'll speak to him as well about that. WhatsApp voice notes 072 702 1702, 072 567 1567. You can also tweet me at Mandy Wiener. But let's start at the Madlanga inquiry, which has just ended for the day and has been adjourned until Monday. We had KwaZulu-Natal NPA head advocate Elaine Harrison on the witness stand today. She was speaking at length about the political task team, the KZN political task team that is at the center of this entire commission. From all accounts, you know, we really heard about the excellence and the progress that was being made by this team. Certainly that's what I've been hearing, and that's the focus of the inquiry, is why were they disbanded? How did she find out about them being disbanded? And should they have been disbanded? Was it political interference by Senzo Mchunu, the police minister? Alpha Ramashwana, EWN reporter, following the commission for us today. Alpha, good afternoon. Take us through the testimony of Elaine Harrison.
Good afternoon, Mandy. I think certainly the question of the day, and certainly the previous days where all the other people testified, the question was, did Minister Senzo Mchunu have the authority and the constitutional right to disband the political killings task team? We heard Ntlanhla Mkhwanazi and Fanny Masimola saying they don't believe he had the authority to instruct for the disbandment of the Political Killings Task Team. And the Director for Public Prosecutions for KwaZulu-Natal, Elaine Harrison, was asked that very same question today. And while she didn't necessarily give her opinion, she said she believes that the KZN Political Killings Task Team had been making significant progress in finalizing some of the cases, politically motivated cases. You would know that last week it was mentioned that the task team handled about 612 dockets, and of those, 297 of them were finalized. And Elaine Harrison says, looking at the days before the task team was in place and after, there's a significant difference in terms of how the NPA and the police handled politically related murders and attempted murders. And she says that dissolving the unit was taking them back. The attempt to dissolve the unit really was taking them back in terms of bringing some of those perpetrators to book. She also says that the NPA shouldn't be blamed for delays in prosecuting some politically related cases. She says that when the dockets were moved from the KZN Political Killings Task Team and transferred to the SAP's head office in Pretoria, investigations effectively halted. The NPA and the KZN Political Killings Task Team really didn't have anything to do. They had 3 months where they were uncertain about the existence of the task team, and that halted all investigations. So effectively, she's saying that the NPA can't be blamed for the delays and how some of the dockets were handled, but she's also saying that the KZN Political Killings Task Team, in conjunction with the prosecutors that she had deployed to work with it, were making some significant progress and deserved a lot more time.
Alpha, what did she have to say about whether or not it was the right thing for Senzo Mchunu to do to disband this Political Killings Task Team, and how she found out about it?
She's told the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry today that she found out about Senzo Mchunu's instruction to disband the Political Killings Task Team on social media. She says she saw a number of posts on social media, a number of articles on several news platforms as well, that he had issued an instruction to disband it. And she waited for a formal communication but received none. And she was in this place of confusion where she didn't know whether or not she should continue to issue out orders to her prosecutors who were working with the task team. And she couldn't plan as well for how the NPA is going to deal with organized crime and politically related cases. And she says during that time, really, there was so much confusion in KZN that they didn't know what the next step forward. Of course, this had a significant impact on the NPA and how they dealt with these cases. Let's take a listen to what she says that impact was.
Chairperson, the only thing is that, you've dedicated the work of the task team, and you've given I've given the dedicated team from the organized crime component. And we all know that what is going on at the present moment, as it's 2025, regarding the issue of organized crime. If you read in any media platform, you'll always find something about organized crime. And the NPA has got its own strategies and action plans as to how we need to approach the work. And I was finding that I'm unable to finalize the KZN annual operation plan because there's no finality regarding the existence or non-existence of the political task team, which would then it would have an input regarding the KZN plan. Thank you, Chair.
So, thank you very much, Alpha Ramashwana, EWN reporter, bringing us the latest there. The witness, the NPA Director of Public Prosecutions for KZN, Elaine Harrison, has just finished, and the commission has been adjourned. It looks like the suspended head of crime intelligence will be the next witness on Monday.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently.
In a press conference yesterday, the Electricity and Energy Minister, Dr. Kgosientsho Ramokgopa, vowing to end load reduction in the next 12 months, load reduction affecting mostly poor areas. He says that will be possible if there's no resistance in the affected communities. So let's find out more about that with Dr. Kgosientsho Ramokgopa. Minister, good afternoon, and thank you very much for your time today.
Good afternoon, Mandy. Thank you very much for the invitation and greetings to the listeners.
What will it take to end load reduction in 12 months?
Well, I think internally it's just for us to be able to mobilize the supply side in relation to the infrastructure that is required. So the rolling out of smart meters. Unfortunately, we already have about 600,000 of those on hand. So we're running another process to ensure that we galvanize the market players to be able to manufacture at our specification. Of course, it must be competitively priced. And the transformers, we have a pipeline of transformers. We've got the personnel experience across the length and breadth of the country. So internally, we are well organized. So we should be able to do this in 12 months. I think what sits on the critical path is likely going to be issues of resistance in pockets of the country. Remember that this illegal connection is a very profitable enterprise for some individuals who are portraying themselves as mini ESCOM, mini municipalities, and in large part it's also some of the delinquent employees of ESCOM and municipalities. They form very strong networks, so they're the ones who are likely going to agitate communities against these interventions. But what we'll be doing is that we're starting in the areas where we've already had the community engagement going to roll out. And that's why I'm talking about a timeline of 12 to 18 months. 12 months, if there's little to no resistance, 18 months for us to finish all of this for those, if you like, hard to access areas. But we are more than confident with the level of technical preparations and the kind of engagements that we have already had with some of the communities.
That's your caveat, is that if there is no resistance in the affected communities, you'll be able to do this in 12 to 18 months. So you've spoken about what causes that resistance. What is the worst case scenario? What does that look like for you? Is it protests? Is it what does that resistance on a practical level look like?
Yes, Mandy. So first is that we know that there are a number of informal settlements that have been formalized by municipalities that have connected themselves illegally. You'll go into that area, and because of the illegal connection, so they have the benefit of enjoying electricity without any payment. And suddenly you want to regularize them. You have to pay for consumption. So you will find a situation where people decide, no, we're going to close the streets. There's no one who's going to come into our area. So that's the form of protest that you're likely going to get. But we are confident because we do have those skills of social facilitation, engaging through the ward councillors. If you go to the more rural areas, it's the combination of ward councillors and traditional leadership. I must say, really, in the rural hinterland, we really don't expect that amount of resistance. It's in your more peri-urban areas. I mean, if you look at the statistics, mainly, the 1.69 million customers that are affected by load reduction, 38% of that is in Gauteng. And Gauteng is an urban if you like, province. So I can tell you that they are on the outskirts of your major economic centers, and that's where you find this proliferation of informality. So those are the areas where we do expect some degree of resistance. Gauteng, Mpumalanga, and Limpopo and the KZN accounts for 93% of the total of the areas affected by load reduction. So we'll start in the more easier areas as we move closer to the areas where there's likely going to be resistance. And I'm confident that once people are able to see movement in other areas, they'll be more than convinced that this is the route to follow.
If I can ask you to change tack slightly, I'm reading from My Broadband, which says that South Africa has taken its first steps towards a traded electricity market that will give consumers a choice of power products along with a range of pricing options. NERSA issuing energy trading licenses to at least 16 organizations. What are your thoughts on that, on the traded electricity market in South Africa?
Well, two things. The first one, as you make the point from the article, is that they're likely going to introduce competition. And of course, the net effect over a passage of time is that it can drive down the cost of electricity and or just reduce the amount of tariff increases that we are seeing, and then it democratizes people's choices, and then you decide who you think is going to be the best solution provider, at least of electricity. And then there's the other side. The other side is that is the management of these reforms, so that at an accelerated pace, you can have the unintended consequences, especially in relation to municipalities, where your best paying customers are likely going to transition and go to those who are providing the traders, if you like. And what that means is that the is going to significantly erode, if you like, the revenue streams of municipalities. So it's important that as we go through the process of reforms, I've been very explicit that the reform agenda is irreversible. We must make sure that we mitigate against the unintended consequences, that the municipalities must continue to be viable. But of course, competition is great. Competition is great from the choices that the people will have, but also driving down, of course, over a period of time, the cost of electricity. So it's just the management of that. But we're going through the reforms. We are going to have the friction. It's a necessary part of this evolution process. There's going to be tension. I mean, I must say that yesterday and today, I've called all the parties in the electricity value chain, private sector, ESCOM, some of the traders, the generators who are in one room, discussing how we are going to manage this reform in the interest of the country and ultimately the customer without undermining competition. And once we conclude this discussion, I'll be able to come out to say, we're going to find each other. I'm more than confident. It's a nascent process that we have entered into, and it's in the nature of a nascent and contested arena like energy that you are going to find this tension. I always make the point, it's healthy tension, but we are moving forward there, Mandy.
Dr. Josiane Soromagopa, the Minister of Electricity, thank you very much for your time speaking to us there about the plan to end load shedding and electricity reforms in South Africa.
702. Mandy Wiener.
Weekdays, 12 to 1 p.m.
Well, let's stay on that theme of electricity. Really, really good reporting coming out of News 24 in their series Power Connections. And the news yesterday that the Hawks raided City Power, a seizure operation taking place at City Power. And this has all to do with some pretty dodgy contracts with millions that are part of the corruption investigation. Kaya Koko is a News 24 investigative journalist who's been on this story, a recent winner of the Nat Nakasa Journalism Award for bravery for the story as well. So he really knows what he's talking about here. Kaya, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time today.
Good afternoon, Mandy.
Yesterday's raid by the Hawks, or seizure, I think they're calling it, seizure operation. Put that into context for us.
The first one happened in July, so that was the initial part of the investigation. It was just to collect a few documents and download a few things, and that was accelerated again on Thursday, yesterday, where what we wrote about this morning, the transformers. So there was a project to reconnect several townships around Gauteng, which needed transformers to be back online, back onto the grid. However, despite City Power's own calculator saying that all this project would cost 32 million rand, it ended up paying 64 million rand, and that's what the Hawks went to go download yesterday, including the purchasing orders, the contract details, etc.
It does seem as though this Hawks investigation is gathering momentum and we could potentially see arrests.
Yes, and it's senior members of the power entity that the Hawks is looking to arrest, including contractors that were paid by City Power.
And Kaya, what does this mean for me, for other residents of Johannesburg in terms of the running of City Power, how money is spent, infrastructure deterioration, plans to fix all of that? What does all of this mean for that?
Well, I mean, for residents of Johannesburg or people who work in the city regularly, I mean, there are always large swathes of the city with power blackouts. The traffic lights never work. Street lights are a thing of the past. So this all puts it into context. You know, there has been money that's been generated by, taxpayers. The fiscus has been availed to fix the many energy problems that we have in the city of Johannesburg. It just seems not to go to where it's supposed to, or even if it does, much of it is inflated and wasted on pointless things. And this is not me saying this. This is contained in the Hawks investigation, as well as City Power's own documents, and including the city of Johannesburg itself. The mayor has been aware now for about 9 months, at least 9 months, that the power utility has a negative balance of 16.3 billion rand, but heads haven't rolled yet. We just get the same old platitude of, no, we're working on it, there's a turnaround plan, blah, blah, blah. But tangibly, when you just drive around the city and it's just dark, you don't see those turnaround plans coming into effect.
Kaya, thank you so much. Keep going with that investigation. Kaya Koko, News 24 investigative journalist, speaking to us there about this seizure operation taking place at City Power yesterday. The Hawks investigating there. City Power denying that the raid happened. The Hawks confirming that a seizure occurred at the entity and reports suggesting that we could see executives, including the CEO, Chifularo Mashava, potentially being arrested as this investigation into corruption worth around 500 million rand continues. Real growth needs more than just banking, and Nedbank Commercial Banking is your growth partner. Their team of industry experts understand your business and its potential, offering insight to help you see opportunity where others see obstacles. Because when you can see what others don't, you can do what others can't. Think bigger. Think Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Get down to Dis-Chem this Friday 26th to Sunday 28th September for our 1 weekend only 2+1 cheapest free deals on the widest range of sports supplements and energy drinks from top brands like Biogen, NPL, USN, Primal, Optimum Nutrition, Muscle Tech, 32GI and more. Get expert advice from our in-store consultants to help you reach your health and fitness goals. Excludes all advertised products. Only at Dis-Chem. Better health starts here.
Before a masterpiece takes shape, there's a single line that starts it all, until every curve and every angle reflects the clarity of a single vision. And only then does inspiration take its final form. The all-new Audi A5, designed to inspire. Starting from $14,499 per month with a guaranteed future value. Visit audi.co.za or your nearest dealer for more. T's and C's apply.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car on the way to the hospital, carrying an elderly couple, playfully bantering about who their first grandchild will look like. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic. It's bringing two generations together. Every story is different, and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005, in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
WhatsApp Mandy
on 072 702 1702.
Good day, Mandy. On Dr. Ramokhopa making sure that load reduction has ended in 12 months' time, I find the timing very peculiar. Yes, as much as load reduction is a nuisance and really people are going through a lot without electricity for a few hours, those interruptions. The fact that next year is elections, local election, it really sounds for me like they are talking about load reduction being extinct now that we're about to vote. Well, that's my 2 cents worth. Thanks, Dima.
Thank you very much for that WhatsApp voice note. Just before we go to the news, let's get a quick update on Codeta's approach to the High Court to overturn the Western Cape government's decision to shut down some taxi routes in Cape Town. Ntutuzelo Nene, EWN reporter, following that for us. Ntutuzelo, what argument have we heard today?
Good afternoon, Mandy. The matter has been postponed to next week, Tuesday. Judge Fortain saying that Codeta and the provincial government lawyers need to file supplementary papers that will kind of provide more information about the case itself. And Judge Fortain is expecting those papers to be filed by Monday. Then on Tuesday, both sides will have an opportunity to kind of argue and state their cases. This is the second postponement. Since this matter, CODETA brought this application on an urgent basis to overturn the provincial mobility department's decision to implement route closures since last week Wednesday for 30 days from Fuleni and Khayelitsha to Somerset West. And these measures were put in place by the provincial government to prevent further violence that is linked to a dispute between CODETA and CATA over these routes. But so far, Mandy, things have been relatively calm on those routes. No violence has been reported, but the mobility department saying that, law enforcement agencies will remain in place.
Ntutuzelo, thank you very much. Ntutuzelo Nene, EWN reporter, speaking to us there about CODETA's approach to the courts to try and reopen some of those taxi routes in Cape Town. 12:31, time for Eyewitness News headlines.
Thanks, Mandy. Good afternoon. KZN NPA head Elaine Harrison has told the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry that she believes the Provincial Political Killings Task Team made notable progress in finalizing cases. She has been testifying before the Commission today. Harrison had assigned a team of NPA prosecutors to support the unit and ensure its cases were effectively prosecuted. Police are appealing to anyone with information about a shooting in Mitchell's Plain in which a 3-year-old child was wounded to come forward. The shooting took place in Beacon Valley in the early hours of this morning. The little boy was then rushed to hospital for medical care. And in the UK, Prime Minister Keir Starmer has announced plans for a new nationwide digital ID. This is in a bid to curb illegal migration. Government says the new digital ID will be held on people's phones and there will be no requirement for individuals to carry or be asked to produce it. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 1 or as it happens.
EWN Sport.
Good afternoon, I'm Anthony Teixeira. A late change for the Springboks with Bowen Fencer set to start due to withdrawal of Oxenchair from the team due to a niggle. It also sees Marco van Staden being drafted into the bench for the clash against Los Pumas. Super sub Quacha Smith says Argentina have become gradual threats with the foundation coming from that Super Rugby side, the Huggy.
Starting in Super Rugby with Yaga Race, I think they started not good and then they started getting better, starting to play in finals and doing really well. And I think with the Argentinian side also, they've really grown a lot over the last few years. I think now this team is a bunch of young guys that's come through the whole system that's been playing a long time together. So I think there's a good bunch of senior guys but also good energetic young guys coming through, and I think that combination makes them really dangerous.
All 4 nations head into the penultimate round of the Rugby Championship with a chance to win the title. We also have the Wallabies taking on the All Blacks. Opening weekend of the URC season this evening sees the Stormers hosting reigning champs Leinster, or the Sharks at the Glasgow Warriors. Then Saturday, the Bulls will lock horns with Ospreys. Lions head to Cardiff Rugby. In football, Aston Villa picked up a first win of the season with the hard-fought 1-0 win over Bologna in the Europa League. While there's continental football this weekend with Kaizer Chiefs hosting Angolan side Kabuskop, a goal down in that second leg of the CAF Confed Cup qualifier. Meanwhile, it is Orlando Pirates 3 goals to the good against Lesotho side Diodi in CAF Champions League qualifying. And in golf, the 2025 Ryder Cup morning foursome will start this in the next hour. Europe aiming for 14 points to retain the cup. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this hour, if you are leaving LX heading towards Midrand, you can still expect heavy delays on the N3 northbound between Marlborough Drive and the Butlu interchange. Not yet clear what's causing this delay. If you have any info, if you're on that route, please let us know. WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702. If you're traveling in and out of Joburg, that's driving through the Selby Amalgam area, slow-moving traffic. M2 westbound, that's between Heidelberg Road and Main Reef Road. Also, if you're in the Brakpan area traveling towards Pinoni, slow-moving traffic on Rangeview Road between Dube and Tom Jones. Those traffic lights are still out of order in Rand Park Ridge at Bayers, Nodia and the N1. I'll have your next Eyewitness News traffic update just after 1.
There's more EWN on air, online and on the EWN app.
It all starts with advice from FNB Private. Because the perfect overseas trip starts with planning. Save and spend in multiple currencies with your FNB Global account and lock in exchange rates. Enjoy up to 40% off flights with eBucks Travel and order Forex on the FNB app delivered to you at no extra cost. Your adventure awaits. Unlock invaluable with FNB Private. Help changes everything. FNB, a division of First Rand Bank Limited, an authorized FSP and credit provider. TC's earn rules and limits apply.
Experience extraordinary with the new iPhone 17, 256 gig from Vodacom, Zanzi's winning 5G network. More delightful, more durable, and now available. Get yours on a 3 gig Red Core plan from $899 per month over 36 months, plus a free extended warranty. Be the first to get it today. Available in-store and online. T's and C's apply. Further together. Vodacom.
Mom, Dad, you're not gonna believe this.
What's up, bud?
Luke's family has a kitchen.
Okay.
Like a real one, with knives and a sink for dishes. His mom was just standing there, making food with her hands. There was a fridge full of vegetables, even broccoli.
Not broccoli.
Oh, the horror. Who needs a kitchen? Simply spend 200 Rand or more and you could win Simply Asia for a year. T's and C's apply. Simply Asia, connecting the Thai way.
Remember when everyone thought NFTs were the future of modern art? When non-fungible was a buzzword used in boardrooms to justify buying pixels, and the metaverse was just months away, and that we'll all be living in our virtual mansions, admiring our digital paintings, only to realize they were just expensive JPEGs. When you can't trust a trend, trust a 30-year track record of outperforming benchmarks.
Coronation. Trust is earned. Coronation is an authorized FSP.
WhatsApp Mandy
on 072 702 1702.
Hi, Mandy, Jack here from Mama's Crown. Regarding the load reduction, now you have the same conspiracy theorists coming again, like they did before last year's elections, to say elections was going to affect load shedding. And we saw that it didn't. There was still no load shedding even after the elections. Now, the lazy thinkers are digging up the skeletons again to say load reduction is and can be linked to the local elections next year.
Yes, I so agree with you on this. So do you remember before the elections last year, everyone was like, load shedding is going to come back after the elections. It's just an election ploy. And now we're having that same thing again. Load reduction will come back after the local government elections. I do not think there's a correlation. I know it's the obvious inference to draw that it's an election tactic. A huge amount of work has gone on at Eskom with Dan Morakani, but also with Operation Vulindlela, the lifting of the generation cap, so much work being done to get the electricity infrastructure right in this country. So I'm pretty confident that we're in a good place, and we should maybe be celebrating this and not be so cynical.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 and Cape Talk is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently.
The Sports Minister, Patriotic Alliance leader Gayton McKenzie, says that he will step down as the Sports Minister on Tuesday, if, but, and when. Lindsay Dentlinger, EWN reporter, joining us now. Lindsay, good afternoon to you. Gayton McKenzie, we try to get him on this show. I know lots of other shows have been trying to get him as well. He's not really speaking, but he does like to use his social media platforms to communicate. What's he been saying?
Andy, contrary to the demeanour we see of Gayton McKenzie in the public and always speaking about how much he loves the GNU, how much he loves his job, he doesn't like the media. And he says that repeatedly in his social media posts, which are designed to speak to his members, whom he says those are the people who matter, those are the people that he will speak to. And he's gone as far as to say that he will never hold a press conference to speak to the media. They cannot be trusted. So I'm not surprised that you are unable to get hold of him. And everything that we do learn about the workings of his party is through these social media posts, in sometimes live video messages that he likes to have with his members. But in the most recent one, it's a post that he posted just after midnight in which he says, to quote, that the Patriots have been pushed too far and that he plans to step down and withdraw his party from the Government of National Unity on Tuesday. And this has, of course, mostly got to do with the wranglings within the Johannesburg City Council. First, the resignation of MMC Kenny Kunene, the refusal by the ANC, by Gayton McKenzie's reading of the situation to install Liam Jacobs, who was a former DA MP, into that position. And now what Gayton McKenzie says is the Joburg mayor's refusal to reinstate Kenny Kunene into that MMC role. But Gayton McKenzie, as far as we know, his ministerial work continues. He's due here in the Western Cape tomorrow to accompany former political prisoners to Robben Island as part of Heritage Day events. So for now, as we see, the work continues. But of course, you know, Mandy, a weekend is a very long time in politics.
A weekend is a very long time in politics indeed. Lindsay, thank you so much. Lindsay Dentlinger, EWN reporter. So we have been trying to speak to Gayton McKenzie. I must say, it took me about a year to get an interview with Gayton McKenzie for my book about the GNU negotiations that I've just released. And then when I did get him, he was fabulous. He spoke to me for about an hour and a half. He told stories, but he does not do media interviews generally. And that's the frustrating thing, because obviously we do act as conduits for the public, but he prefers to use social media platforms unfiltered, going directly to his followers. What do you think he's going to do? Is he going to blink? Bongani asked me this question on 702 earlier today about whether or not the ANC or whether Gayton McKenzie will blink first. And I said to him, I've learned not to make predictions on the radio. And it's going to be really interesting to watch. Are they calling bluff? Are they not calling bluff? Will Gayton McKenzie leave the GNU? I think he could, but will he? And what is at stake for the Patriotic Alliance? He says being a minister is an enormous amount of work. He underestimated it. So who knows what's going to happen?
702.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
Let's walk the talk.
Well, speaking of the GNU and speaking of politics, the Democratic Alliance has announced its mayoral candidate for eThekwini for the local government elections that are at the end of next year, and they're already announcing mayoral candidates. Clearly a strategy by the DA. Nhlanhla Mabaso, EWN reporter, following that for us. Nhlanhla, who is the DA putting forward as its mayoral candidate in eThekwini?
Indeed, Mandy, that's Hanif Hussein, you'd recall, is a former member of parliament having served the party until 2024, Mandy. According to Jones KZN, Mandy, this is one guy who's going to, he says, turn around the city of eThekwini. He's pointed to various issues of service delivery within the city. You'd recall, Mandy, that this is the only metro in the entire KwaZulu-Natal out of the 54 municipalities in the province. The party says it wants to, take over this municipality. It made an example of comparison with the Umgeni local municipality, which is the only DA ran in the province municipality by Mayor Chris Papas. They say they want to demonstrate similar tactics of how to run local government when they take over eThekwini municipality. That's if they do. Mainly John Steenhazel also going as far as reminding the people in attendance that even President Cyril Ramaphosa had recently praised DA Ren municipality, using that utterances, those utterances by the president in him announcing Hussein as their mayoral candidate.
Nhlanhla, thank you very much. Nhlanhla Mabaso, EWN reporter, the DA announcing Hanif Hussein as its mayoral candidate in eThekwini.
Medical care, like music, needs continuity, a steady rhythm and pattern. Patients attended to on time, medication taken as prescribed. Cut the rhythm, and it falls apart. Right now, global funding cuts are restricting access to healthcare. With your support, Doctors Without Borders can continue to provide medical care to communities worldwide. Because medicine, like music, only works when uninterrupted. Doctors Without Borders. We go there.
There's something magical about booking your next getaway. Whether you're flying for business or leisure, Airlink is ready to take you there in premium comfort. With over 45 destinations in 15 African countries, Airlink connects you throughout Southern Africa and beyond. No middle seats, just wider window or aisle seating. And yes, free luggage, snacks and beverages are still our thing. Plus, our Skybucks frequent flyer program rewards you every time you fly. Book on flyairlink.com or your travel agent. Fly Airlink, the freedom of the African sky.
Mzansi, play Powerball for a massive 90 million rand guaranteed jackpot this Friday, and you could win big, just like the lucky Powerball Plus jackpot winner who won over 69 million rand on Tuesday. The winning ticket was purchased in store in Mpangeni, KwaZulu-Natal. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. E2 is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a shift worker making his way home and daydreaming about his next career move, his next chapter. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's a possible light bulb moment that could change someone's life. Every story is different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Sports Wrap.
Sports Wrap
On 702 and Cape Talk.
Anthony Teixeira joining us to wrap up the weekend sports. So much sport happening this weekend. The Boks are playing. URC kicks off their continental qualifiers. Marc Marquez trying to clinch the MotoGP championships. And Ryder Cup is this weekend, which I think that's the one thing I'm going to be watching, Anthony.
Really?
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of. I like the majors. I like Ryder Cup. I like the backstory to all of it. The little bit of the politics of it.
I mean, the politics that play out are always quite fun to witness in these games. I think out of all of them that you've mentioned, probably least excited for this one. I find it to be a little slow. And except for this morning session.
Listen, I like Test cricket. So.
Oh, yeah, this is, not my favorite either. But very much this morning session will give us an indication of where exactly the teams are. We remember, what was it, 2 years ago when the Americans lost every single one of the foursomes in the morning, and then they were 4-0 down, and all of a sudden they were chasing the whole way through. Pretty exciting. And so we'll see in the next, 20 minutes or so, them teeing off with those. So what happens is that you have 2 European players and 2 American players facing off, and there's 4 groupings that will go out. And that's an exciting part.
I think they've only won 4 times away.
I mean, to be honest with you, it's probably the best group that Team Europe will ever put out in this moment in time. In terms of being able to go out there and retain in New York against the Americans. You only need the 14 points, whereas America need that extra half point to secure it. Also questions over whether, Live Golf and the PGA Tour and these players. But there is always that question of whether they are able to come together when it comes to a team sports and play. And so, exciting.
I think it's exciting. Springboks this weekend against Argentina.
Yeah, I mean, we got confirmation this morning that Bowen Fence will be coming into the starting lineup because Oxenchair has got a bit of a niggle. And so it really will see whether or not he'll be able to take that step up, because this is a crunch clash. Like, nobody can deny it. All 4 sides still in the running, probably the closest rugby championship in the history of this tournament. And Argentina, we've seen them be absolutely brutal at times this season. You know, the win against New Zealand for the first time at home, then going to Australia and beating the Wallabies. It has been an exceptional side. And so going into this, there's no guarantee that there's a win. There's no guarantee that the Springboks will get that bonus point that they desperately need in order to maintain the championship. And also in the mix with all of this, you have the URC going on. It's the opening weekend, and World Rugby really has to look at its calendar, to be honest with you. Last week we had a beautiful moment where there was no international rugby, and it was just about the Currie Cup. It was just that final of the Currie Cup, and we saw the Greek was winning for the first time in 55 years. And this week we have the Springboks and the Rugby Championship as well as the URC happening at the same time. It just feels like World Rugby really does need to look at that calendar and make sure that the North and South are working together.
And then continental qualifiers this weekend.
I mean, Kaizer Chiefs have all the work to do at home. They are goal down against Angolan side Kapuskop in the CAF Confed Cup qualifying. And they looked out of sorts last week. Despite the fact that they were playing against 10 men, they just couldn't break them down. Whereas Orlando Pirates, 3 goals to the good against Lesotho side Diodi, and they're going home to play. So almost guaranteed of making it through to the second round of qualifying.
Anthony, thank you so much. Anthony Teixeira looking at the weekend sport. Real growth needs more than just banking, and Nedbank Commercial Banking is your growth partner. Their team of industry experts understand your business and its potential, offering insight to help you see opportunity where others see obstacles. Because when you can see what others don't, you can do what others can't. Think bigger. Think Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Got big dreams for your small business? The Hollywood Foundation is here to make them a reality with the Bambelela Business Awards. SMMEs in Gauteng. This is your chance to grab a share of 1 million rand in funding. The awards recognize and reward the contributions small businesses make to growing and transforming our economy. Submit your entries today. Applications close on 4 October 2025. Submissions will be reviewed by a panel of expert judges. Enter now at www.hollywoodfoundation.co.za.
This is Jade. She'll spend hours comparing almond milk and once made a spreadsheet just for sneakers. But when she found Santam, ASA's leading short-term insurer that offers a range of cover options, from vehicle to building and home contents, even she didn't overthink it. The kind of freedom Santam gives you takes some getting used to. Speak to your broker. Santam, this is freedom. Santam is an authorized FSP, a licensed non-life insurer and controlling company for its group companies.
Good things.
Good things.
With Brent Lindecky.
Brent Lindecky, the good things guy in the studio. You can hear I'm excited. It's always great when Brent Lindecky comes in to give us the good news. Welcome back to the studio, Brent.
Thank you very much. I'm excited to be here. So I find nothing better than sitting in the studio. The Prime Media Precinct. There's such a vibe here. Whenever you walk in, there's something going on. Everybody's sort of in a good mood. It's a lekker feeling to come into the studio. I love it.
So when you come in, I like to do a sentiment check with you about how people are feeling. What's the kind of zeitgeist out there? What are people talking about? What's the mood of the country at the moment?
Listen, the mood of the country should be in a very positive space. We've got spring that is supposed to be here, not in Joburg today, but it's supposed to be here. It's supposed to feel lighter and it's supposed to feel a little bit easier. But I know from a decade of being in the good news space that this can be the hardest time of the year. Sort of September, October is when we're all scuttling towards that end of the year December vibes, but we've still got a couple of weeks to get there. So we all work incredibly hard. We see it around us. This is that last hurdle to get to that point. And I find now is when people are a little bit angrier, a little bit more on edge. We see it in our readership. So the most interesting thing, seeing the back end of what readers are consuming this time of year, it kind of dips a little bit. It's like people are not open to good news. And even in our social media feeds, you could argue that being the good things guy, everybody should be positive in that comment section. And the reality is they're not. We see a lot of, not a lot, we see some aggression, a little bit of short-temperedness. And I just think that is a call to action for everybody to be kinder to each other. If you see people that are sort of on edge, just be nicer, because we never know what other people are going through.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so let's tell people some good news stories. The first one is about retail workers that go above and beyond to return a wallet left in a trolley. I've had this happen to me, not with a wallet, but with a pair of earphones that an Uber driver came and dropped off at my house for me. It's so lekker when people do this kind of thing because you don't expect it.
Well, because it's not the norm, right? And it should be the norm. If you lose something, the normal response should be someone picks up something that's not theirs and sort of tries to give it back. The two people in question here is Brandon Dupree and Jermaine Johnson. This is not a sponsored post, but I'm going to give a shout out. They work for Mr. Price. Mari Suckers, she went into a Mr. Price and she was doing her shopping, and I guess she was a little bit busy and she lost her wallet. And she didn't realize till later that evening that it was missing. And at the same time, there were a couple of missed calls on her phone. So she actually called one of those numbers back. What had happened is Brandon and Jermaine, who work at this Mr. Price, they found the wallet and they didn't quite know how to get hold of this stranger. So they spent most of the afternoon Googling, like being detectives, to figure out who she was. They got hold of her number. They phoned her numerous times, and they eventually returned that wallet to her. So it's not just about giving something back. It's about going above and beyond to deliver that kindness. You might think about losing your bank cards, your ID. It's incredibly difficult to get those things back. It's a bit of a hard task. So kindness like that in that moment. It's just it's a reminder to all of us. We need to be kinder.
Tell us about Duma the elephant, who has spent a year in freedom.
So this is a story that we've been tracking for many years. Duma's real name or first name is actually Charlie the elephant. And Charlie was in captivity for over 40 years. He was caught when he was 2 years old, put into a circus, and then he joined the zoo. And it took a whole bunch of incredible people that worked together, the EMS Foundation, the government. There were experts in animal wildlife that all got together. There was a petition that happened. It took like 2 years to do this. But Charlie, who's now named Duma, finally found freedom a year ago. And we got an update this week because not only is he surviving now in the wild, but he's thriving. And the photos that we received from when he was in the zoo to where he is now, he is a completely different animal. Freedom looks good on him.
And then appreciative mother settles a family's bill after a son showed her daughter kindness.
So again, it's all about kindness. The Diaraj family, they went to a Spur for dinner in Midrand, and their kids were sort of in the play area playing with all the kids that were there. And a lady who was watching this, her daughter was playing with these kids. She walked up to, I think her name's Deneo, she walked up to the family and she said to the family, I just need to commend you on how kind your kids are and how they're just being so inclusive and they really are just like being nice kids. And to hear that as a parent must feel so lekker. To like a pat on the back that you've done a good job. But here's where the story gets even better. When they went to go pay their bill, they found out that this complete stranger had paid their bill completely. And she did it because she just wanted to thank them for being really awesome parents and raising kids in the right way. They tried to actually pay the bill back. And she said, no, I'm not going to let it happen. You deserve a moment of kindness.
Oh, lekker stories as always. Hey, I've got a question for you on the WhatsApp line. Dun, 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 unpredictable. See the horror in your eyes. Afternoon, Mandy. Please ask Brent to research the relationship between the rising heat in temperature compared to the rising level of temperament in the country. In fact, it's a global phenomenon. That's from Job in Soprano. So in other words, are South Africans happier when it's hotter?
So I would almost go with 100% yes. I feel like, and I'm talking from my own perspective here. In winter, this is what I say. I am solar powered. I need the sun. I need that warmth. Summer vibes is a real thing. And I find that in winter, I don't get depressed, but I do get a little bit sadder. And I'm sort of, you stay at home under blankets and you sort of keeping warm or trying to. Whereas now, when the sun's out, guns out. And and I'm talking about muscles here, right? In our little vesticles. I'm very surprised I didn't come in a vest today.
Thank you for that. And zip-sops. I want to counter that argument. So the World Happiness Report that you and I speak about.
Yes.
For 8 years in a row, Finland has been the world's happiest country. I'm sure that's socio-economic issues and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
But just to counter your argument.
It's a complex issue. But here's what I can say, that December vibes in South Africa, we don't say December, what do we say? December. It is a whole culture. And it is, when we get to that point in a couple of weeks, I think it's the happiest time in our country. And I'm looking forward. Maybe we should start December vibes early this year.
What, in October?
I'm in. I'm ready.
Guns out in your vesticle. Brent Lineker, as always, thank you for coming in and thank you for giving us some good news.
Thank you so much. I love being here. And as I say every Friday to all of the 702 and Cape Talk listeners, wishing you only good things.
702, the Midday Report, Monday to Friday.
12 to 1 p.m.
Well, thank you so much for listening. Lots of sport for you to watch this weekend. It was remiss of me. I did not mention the fact that the Women's World Cup rugby final is on tomorrow between England and Canada, pretty much the same time as the box. So make sure that you've got that remote thumb ready to go so you can bounce around there, because it's been a fantastic tournament to watch. And then lots of other things happening too. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you so much for listening. The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 and Cape Talk, brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. Think bigger, think Nedbank Commercial Banking. It's 1:00.
This is EWN.
KZN NPA head says political killings task team was making steady progress and a digital ID to fight illegal migration in the UK. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. KZN NPA